the football gods are trying to help. A team that you could only once complain, only got bad breaks, got no Robert Woods. They got no Kyler Murray, which was actually, we could go back. The football gods gave them no Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins, no AJ Green. And the Niners were like, we don't know what to do with this. So the gods are like, all right, no, seriously, we're going to give you another shot. Like when you used to be in the backyard shooting, you're like, last one before I go inside. 3, 2, and you miss it. You're like, one more. Oh, he gets the rebound. Oh, they added time to the clock. 3, 2. And then the Niners beat the Rams. The football guys.
Mine was always like Michael Jordan to Middlekauff in the corner.
Scottie Pippen was like, that's not what would happen.
It's like, we know, Scotty, you miserable SOB.
So the football gods hit him with another one, John. The Jags this week. And a chance to be 500.
To me, it's pretty crazy, and it just shows you the nature of L's. And they were taking them. But when you get one good win against a good team, even if you have total ownage over them, it does feel like you got some life into you. And it's the way they did it, the players that dominated. You win this game, you're 5-5. It felt like after they got their ass kicked, and let's repeat, their ass kicked by Colt McCoy and the Cardinals, it felt like they were like a 2-8 team, a 3-7 team. All of a sudden, you're 5-5, and luckily, and we'll get into the playoff picture, you are more than alive, right? You are more than alive with an enormous game coming up against Minnesota at home. So, but we talked about this when the Raiders went out to to New York. I think we've talked about this before. I remember, was it the Rams last year that I think lost to the Jets in New York? They had or maybe it was the Giants. They had a bad late season loss on the road. And that felt like when McVay's like, I'm out on this guy. And it can get weird because the time zone. And a lot of times, though, like the Rams example, if you're a playoff team, I do understand it. I've always defended these people are human beings. Like, Belichick can get, and he's king of this, Saban too, like, this Razorback team, they easily could be 11-0, playing the Jets. And Saban or Belichick would be like, they got the best special team unit I've ever seen, and if you let Mike White or Flacco make one play, they can kick our asses. It's easy for him to say that. It's another thing for the players to be sitting there in the film room being like, these guys suck. The Niners are in no position to look at anyone and think anything other than we are in absolute desperation mode.
Yeah.
Because I think if they were winning, this would be a very, very scary spot. Like if they were 6-3, I think we talked about this before we hopped on. But I do not think, like, I saw this clip yesterday, and I remember this because I remember watching the game with my dad because it was during Christmas. I think it was the Saturday of Christmas weekend. They played the Jags. And Telvin Smith at the time, I think he had like a mental breakdown or quit or got in trouble. But Jalen Ramsey, it was that team that ended up going to the AFC Championship game, and they lost to the Bill Belichick and the Patriots. He called it a hat and T-shirt game, and they were coming out to play the Niners. And I think it was like Jimmy's second or third start, and the Niners kicked the shit out of them. I mean, it probably was Jimmy's. We have to look at the stats of those 5 games. It feels like his best game. They dominated that game. I think the final score was like 44-33, and the Jags scored a little bit in some garbage time. It was like it was the finest moment of the season because the Jags were a powerhouse team.
It's easy to forget.
But it was understandable, like they're coming west, we're playing the shitty Niners. The Niners are in no position to be like, oh, we're playing Clown Urban and Balky, these crappy players, right? Because you look at, sometimes I've clicked a couple times over the weeks, Trevor Lawrence's box scores look pretty horrendous, guy. He is not, part of it he's in that market, but it has not gone. Like when you're called the greatest prospect since, and you have this type season, like let's face it, I'm not blaming all him, but it has not gone well for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I don't think, he's not happy. Everyone always makes the Peyton Manning threw 28 picks his rookie year. I mean, they did go 3-13. I don't remember what that season looked like, so I'm a bad narrator on that. I mean, he was 26 touchdowns, 28 picks, 3-13. I don't think bad. Trevor Lawrence is not throwing 28 touchdowns though. He's got 8.
Yeah, I mean, he's 8-9. So what's he on pace for? About an 18 type season? Pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not good. Like throw a pick. Like to me, you throw a bunch of picks, but you're throwing touchdowns. From what the times I've watched them,
how about guy 58% completion percentage is pretty alarming.
Yeah, Peyton was 57, but in a different time, right?
Inflation, right? What's that?
Absolutely,
probably like 64.
Yeah, I mean, we looked when we interviewed Jonathan Smith. I think at that point in time, there were like in 1999, 2000, there were like 17 guys that were 64% in the country. Now it's like 80 of them. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like the vast majority of college quarterbacks are in that, low 60s range. 20 years ago, nope, like 15 guys were in the low 60s.
Like, think about
So,
guy Jimmy this season is 66, and he's pretty inaccurate.
yeah, he's inaccurate with completions, though. Like,
That's true.
I watched some of the Jags Colts game the other day.
His receivers, Laviska,
Lawrence,
best guy
they
going.
missed some throws that are just like, keep your head on a swivel if you're standing on the sideline. Like, they are all over the place. Like, there was one, Laviska Shenault's, just like Laviska Shenault's got body language. He's feeding Dan Arnold. Like,
kind of like Dan Arnold, not going to lie.
yeah, well, Dan Arnold was on the Panthers, and now he's there. So, but they put it this way. I can understand Colt McCoy and Cliff Kingsbury, and I like them getting a little mojo against you. Fine. This cannot look like that. Like, I don't know if the Panthers have offensive pass game rhythm in the bag.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they lost 41-10 or whatever, it'd be people would want Kyle fired that night.
I think part of the question is the Niners, I think, obviously they found some stuff. But it was partly a runaway train. And it happens. Like, you start rolling the way they rolled, and sometimes it just gets better and better and better and better.
Pick six 5 minutes into the game is a game changer when you're up 7-0.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Jags are I'm not saying the Rams are easier to play than the Jags. I'm just saying it might not look as easy this week because it compounded. But one of the things you want to see is that, and this is kind of what the Bears game was, just they beat the Bears and they had some good, the second half was better, but you want to feel like what happened last week carries over and then carries over again. It's one blah, blah, blah cliche at a time, step at a time, all that. But like, they are going to have to keep going, and you'd like for them to not have to sweat this one out. Just it feels like maybe they as a team got a little something.
Well, especially because we have gambling on them. It's like cover, guys.
Yeah, I know. But I'm not even like, if you watch, I watched some of what Garoppolo said the other day, and I know Shanahan said it too, is they felt like they were practicing well going into the Arizona game. Like, they had thought they'd turn a corner going into that game, and then they had a couple turnovers. And I think the key in this thing is just don't do anything don't shoot yourself in the foot in the first half of this game, and it shouldn't be a problem.
But I will say this. You and I have been around football long enough. Any fan that has watched their team long enough, like, teams have practiced shitty, be like, yeah, we didn't have a great week of practice, and then blow someone out. Had good week of practice and lost by a lot.
Yeah.
To me, it's just about when the game starts, you have way better players than them. You have impact guys that they cannot match you. And you have that against the Rams, let alone this team. So if you guys truly give a shit, which you should, because your season is still on the line, like, you're still playing for a lot, and you have no margin for error because of the shitty start you had, you should just be making plays left and right. It should just be like, we are just way better than you. And you guys fucked up so early that it's be like, I want to go nuts, right? Like, this is a game, like, I do think Brandon Ayuk is going to have a game where it's like he scores 100 yards and 2 touchdowns or something. Like, this could be that type of game. Like, their team, their secondary. Like, I come on. Now Josh Allen, who had some Josh Allen on Josh Allen crime, like, he, I would imagine they're going to put him over whoever the hell's playing right tackle. Like, you're not be like, let's line Josh Allen against Trent Williams. Probably not. So you're going to have to keep an eye on him. But And the thing with bad teams, you only have so many true haymakers in you. Like, the Lions have been throwing these haymakers like 3 or 4 times, but then every once in a while they'll just lose like 40-0. Like, you can only keep getting up and losing. Like, I think the Colts game is a good example of, like, it's a divisional game, so it's just naturally easy to get up. So, some of the guys on the team that have been there a couple of years, like, you just get up naturally for a divisional game. So different, like you said about the Arizona example. Like, yeah, their backups were playing, but a lot of guys in that room are like, fuck the Niners, right? It's just an easy one. This one, it's like, we gave everything we had last week and we still lost. Part of it, I could see the Jags being a little flat and you should just knock them out. Like, this is not like the Bears game. You should not come out full. You should be able to make plays. And when you make plays against good teams, it might not equal scores, right? It might just equal field goals or whatever. Against bad teams, making plays equals touchdowns. It's just that simple. Period. End of story. And they got way too many playmakers when the three guys are healthy in Kittle, Ayuk, and obviously Debo. And their running backs and their ability to scheme the run, like, it should be on like Donkey Kong. Now, I'm not cocky to think it's a lock to happen, but it should. And if it doesn't, then we'll have to come back to earth a little bit. A loss would be pretty glaring indictment on everything.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to shake this loss. I mean, it was hard to shake the Colts loss, but luckily you had the Rams the next week, and you kind of earned back a little respect. It would all go away, and I don't care what you would do the next week against Minnesota. You wouldn't be able to take Kyle. It's like you can't get your team ready to play these guys.
It would when they played the Bears. I think the Bears were the worst third down team in the NFL, and the Niners were like second or third worst. And remember, the Bears were picking up third downs left and right with Justin Fields.
Yeah,
the Jaguars are by far the worst third down team in the NFL right now. By far, they shouldn't be able to sustain anything. Now, Eric on the stream comments that the front seven's not too bad. I watched them. Did I mention this already, or did I say it off? They did create. Carson only got sacked once, but it's Carson. They created some problems for Carson, but that's Carson. Carson hangs onto the ball, tries to make a bunch of plays. Like, it's got to be back to the other day. Jimmy just get rid of the ball quickly, which is fine. That's part of what he does anyway. So I do think they can create some problems for you if you let them. But if you run the ball and get rid of the ball when you throw it, I don't think you're going to have an issue.
I mean, Jonathan Taylor went for 115 on him. Obviously, he's a really good player, but I'm just saying, like, you should.
Yeah, they should be able to run the ball.
And if the Niners can run the ball, it's when they're good, right? Because they started running the ball against the Bears, and that's when they kind of, obviously the Debo play happened, but then they just got the running game, and everything just kind of comes. Feels like when they get like, oh, backs against the wall, can't run. Jimmy can't snap into like Josh Allen because he's not.
Jags are 106 rushing yards per game. God, the Rams are awful against the run. They're middle of the pack. I take it back. I don't think there's much to be concerned about. Again,
I feel pretty good.
I feel good as well. Again, this is our lock also. But it's you cannot do things that make you worry about if you're still the person you used to be. And the person the Niners used to be for a period of time is a team that turns the ball over, a team that doesn't convert third downs. I think they're still probably, from my perspective, maybe I'm projecting on them, in a bit of a fragile state in that I want you to start fast and not start thinking, here we go again, like they have before. And, then you're okay. So I don't know how many risks you'll try to take in the passing game, but I think one thing, and this is where we might be in danger of not covering, is that Kyle Shanahan probably knows it's a field position game with the Jags. Like, you can make them punt, just don't let them end up on your 40 because you went for it. I wonder if he went for all those fourth downs. Now, he did it late when the game was out of hand because he knew the Rams could score with him, or at least in theory that the Rams could score with him. I wonder if he approaches this game the same way.
I don't know. I think there was a moment earlier this season, I can't remember the game, where he punted and he said it was a mistake. Like, I think he's an aggressive guy naturally when it comes to this stuff.
I agree with that.
I think you keep the fucking pedal on the metal and you try to, curb stomp him.
Javier Vega, what's up, Javier, says on the stream, Jags are going to try and force Jimmy outside the numbers. Linebacker play for the Jags are pretty good. That's when JG10 gets in trouble.
It's why you hand off.
Does Jimmy throw outside the numbers?
That's why you hand off, guy. Well, yeah, he does. When the guy's behind the line of scrimmage, it's a quick screen.
Oh, okay. Does that count statistically?
Yeah, it's just like to 11 or 19 when they just stop and you just throw it outside the numbers.
I don't know if that
so
counts.
The ball doesn't go vertically; it just goes, horizontally.
Yeah. Statistically, I mean, I wonder. I don't. That can't count a behind the line of scrimmage throw outside the numbers.
No.
All right.
But that is Jimmy's outside the numbers pass.
Man.
You're going to have to throw outside the numbers in a week, which we'll get to, because you have to score more points. This game, you could be able to win like 21-10 or something, right? And here's the other thing. This guy will throw you the ball, which is crazy to think. But it just shows you, like, the moment you leave the little bubble, which he created, right? Because when Trevor was there, even though I look Clemson, they play Wake Forest, they could go 9-3 this year. It's like their shitty year. They're still going to be 9-3. It's like that's why I dab them. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, he didn't regress, right?
No, but they didn't
talked
really.
About the other day.
They didn't necessarily that much either. But at one point in time, they were like 3-4, and it looked like they could win like 5 or 6 games. But they got it. They do play in the ACC.
They do.
But they miss this guy. But he also misses them because it's like this is a little harder up here, guys. Because part of being the number 1 overall pick, I think back to Manning, this is the defense of that guy always. They're usually going to such a shitty team. The thing people forget a little bit about Luck, he was awesome. His team had just been shitty. They had won 10 straight games for a decade straight. They still had a lot of really good players.
They just needed a quarterback.
They just removed Peyton. Like that Peyton team in 98 and this Jaguars team did not just need a quarterback. They need like 17 other things, including potentially a coach. Did you see that if Dan Mullen gets fired, he's probably going to, like he has Schottenheimer and Bevel, I think, on his staff. He'll go fire those guys and just make Dan Mullen his offensive coordinator. Like get the band back together.
Yeah. Great idea.
I don't think Dan Mullen's ever coached in the NFL, so that'll work.
If Urban's coaching the team next year, I'll be shocked, but then maybe feels like it's stabilized a little bit.
I feel like he's got 2 years in him.
It feels like that now. I thought a few weeks ago that there was no chance.
With the, touching the women at the, well, they were touching him too at the bar.
Well, just the losing and the skipping the team flight, more about all just like the stress, all of that. Like I thought the stress of it all.
Things change fast.
Was going to get to him. There's no such thing as style points in the NFL, but not all 5-5s are created. Not all 500 records are created equal. Part of it is who you beat. Part of it is how you look. And, this is the kind of game that can just get them some momentum if there's such a thing. And I think part of it is, and I saw the stat here in the comments because we talked about it the other day. I don't remember. I think it was an ESPN Stats and Info or Next Gen, whatever it was, about Garoppolo 88 and his last 89 snaps out of the shotgun. Like more of that, right? Again, you don't need Elijah Mitchell, you don't think, but I would like to see him play because he's the best running back. Maybe Trey Sermon can get a few carries in there. It'd be nice if you can get a little movement. Trey Sermon. I would too. So it's just take another step. Take another step and take another step, and you feel like maybe we could reopen our our hearts to the possibilities of them not taking a step backward after they take one forward.
Well, I'm looking at these playoff possibilities, guy. They look tasty.